Number 5, Shoot the Piano Player. A highly cinematic film directed by Francois Truffaut. Yes, this French man from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Truffaut's direction is truly superb, with scenes that make me giddy with the possibilities of cinema, like this one. And when talking about Truffaut's work, most people usually bring up The 400 Blows, his first film, and Jules and Jim, another landmark movie he made. But in between those two films, he made Shoot the Piano Player, and I think this one is just as good as the other two, if not better. And once again, here's another film on the list that has an aura of sadness that lurks throughout the whole thing. And it's mesmerizing and enticing, and I love it. And by far, my favorite foreign language film of all time. Number 4, Once Upon a Time in the West. Director Sergio Leone's previous film, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, is usually the type of movie that makes a list like this. But Once Upon a Time in the West is a true work of art. The cast is especially good in this film, including Charles Bronson as a character simply entitled Harmonica, and Claudia Cardinale, who has never looked prettier. Each one of the main characters has their own musical theme, which adds up to one of the most memorable soundtracks of all time. But one of the biggest standouts in the movie is Henry Fonda, who's playing one of the most wicked characters of all time. It would be similar to nowadays if they cast Tom Hanks as Hannibal Lecter or something like that. But all in all, Once Upon a Time in the West is my favorite Western of all time. Number 3, The Empire Strikes Back. The second Star Wars movie to be made, but actually it's part 5. This is one of those movies that I've seen so many times, and I've watched so many making of documentaries on it that I know how every single moment in the movie was created, but somehow it still captivates me every single time I watch it. There's an artistry and vitality in the puppets and models used in the movie that's missing from most films that have computer-generated effects nowadays. And The Empire Strikes Back also has not only the greatest soundtrack of all the Star Wars movies, but of all movies. I mean, this movie has everything. I mean, it has lightsabers. It has Yoda for the first time. It has Boba Fett for the first time. And of course, it has the huge revelation of who Darth Vader really is. If you want to see how great Star Wars can be, this is it. A true sci-fi fantasy masterpiece from beginning to end. Oh yeah! Number 2, Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia is the film that all other epics should aspire to. I was lucky enough to see this spectacular film at a theater several years ago, and it was a great way to soak in all the visual splendor. Peter O'Toole gives a great performance as T.E. Lawrence, the infamous British soldier who led a revolt in the desert with the Arabs during World War I. Director David Lean's epic visuals are simply breathtaking, as well as the memorable score. The film is nearly 4 hours long, and it's a fascinating journey the entire way. I remember when the movie Gladiator was released, I would hear people say, "Man, that's like the best movie I've ever seen." And I would say, "Better than Lawrence of Arabia?" And they would say, "What's that?" Arrgh! Definitely one of the best movies I've ever seen, but however, it's not quite my favorite of all time.
Number 1, Jaws.
Yes, that's right. My number 1 favorite movie of all time is Jaws. So what qualifies this to be my number 1 favorite movie of all time? Many things, other than the fact that it's a fantastic movie. For one, it's the movie I've seen more times than any other. I mean, I first saw this movie when I was only 5 years old. Plus, it's one of the few films that I could start again right after it's over and watch it all the way through another time. Steven Spielberg's direction is, as expected, top rate, and he was only 27 years old when he made the movie too. The three main characters in the movie, played by Richard Dreyfuss, Roy Scheider, and Robert Shaw, are just perfect. It doesn't even seem like they're acting. They're that good. And sure, nowadays the shark doesn't look completely convincing all the time, but it doesn't matter. That's not why the movie's great. And there's no way I can talk about this movie without mentioning the legendary musical score by John Williams. Everybody knows what this is. People who have never even seen this movie knows what dun 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 signifies. Little kids know that that means it's a shark, and that's badass. I'm sure as the years go by that the position of some of the movies on this list may change. New ones may even appear. But I'm pretty sure nothing will ever knock out my number one pick, the great original Jaws.